from your licensed professional. You need a maintenance plan stamp. We wouldn't know how to maintain them because there's, like I said, thousands of possibilities. So they got to tell you, what you need to do to maintain it, short-term and long-term. They got to tell you what to inspect and the schedule to inspect. And then when you do inspect it, what are you looking for? What's the criteria for failure? That would come from your professional. And then if you do find failure, how do you fix it? So those are the 4 components that are required of a maintenance plan that you would submit with your application on these, anything other type applications. So the simple applications, the rain barrels, the rain gardens, follow the XYZ steps, which Carl's going in the next part of the talk here, and you're covered. The requirements to submit is the application form. I have it in the next slide, and I have some I'll pass around here too. Basically, it's just you're going to flip to that slide quick? Basically, it's just the property owner and the customer information. Who owns it, who's the customer? Because this is a utility. Some renters pay their utility bills, some landlords pay their utility bills. So the credit goes to the utility customer. If you're paying the bill, you can get the credit. So these aren't always going to be the same. If you're a homeowner, you would just write same in the customer line, and you're same as the owner. On those tables, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, how many rain barrels? What's your volume of your barrel? What's that credit? That's simply what this form is just information to us, saying what's there. You want to back up one? No, up the other way. The next thing we need is air photo. You can go online to the city's website. You can go to the county's website. You can go to Google Map, Bing Map, anything that looks down, has an air photo of your property, and just print a photo. Put X's where the rain barrels are, draw the area where the rain garden is, put some dimensions on it. From that photo, we can see your roof lines. We can see if these things are in the right spots. It lets us know where you have them, and a real quick way for us to just make sure that they're in the right spot. And then take some photos of the installation. When you're done and it's all set up, snap a few photos. Send that in along with the annual certification of maintenance, and basically what that is it's the second form. This is due at application, and then it's due again January 1 of every year, January 1 through April 15th. That's the period you have to turn it in. But what the annual certificate of maintenance says is I followed the simple steps to install this. I'm maintaining it. The simple maintenance steps that you say to maintain it. If it's a BMP, I'm following what the engineer recommended. And yes, it's still in. Yes, I still want my credit this year. We don't want to have to send staff out every year and review if these are still in, see if they're there. It's just like a dog license. Every year you send it in saying, yep, I still got it. Yep, I'm still maintaining it. You do that, you get your credits. So the initial application is the form, the pictures, the air photo, and the certification. After that, it's just the certification. You get your credits as long as you keep sending that form in. And here's where the certification is. So hopefully we've tried to make a couple of real simple things that you can do yourself. We've tried to keep the innovation, so there's lots of options, and we tried to keep the admin costs on the city side down so we can really keep the money that comes in from the utility doing utility work and not doing admin work. So Carl Green from UW Extension is going to go through here now and really kind of talk about how to install these. I can answer questions while he's getting.
All right, just to kind of give a little bit of background of why we are here. In 2006, the Wisconsin DNR basically enacted legislation that said that municipalities had to start to control and clean up their stormwater. As part of that, they gave targeted dates, 2008 and 2013, as to when these municipalities had to have their stormwater cleaned up to a certain extent. And I believe it was 40% by 2013. And so really the state has said to the city of La Crosse and to the local municipalities, you have to clean up your stormwater. How you do it, it's up to you. The city has recognized that rather than going in and putting in new pipes and everything, which is very cost expensive, labor expensive, it would be better to incentivize people to do these changes on their own, because you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck in doing it that way. The city of La Crosse is pretty unique in that most municipalities that do have utilities do not have residential credit policies. So they really took a chance in trying to get something so that people that are living in the city can also actually experience and put in some of these practices that will reduce stormwater. So stormwater, why is stormwater an issue? It becomes an issue because of all the stuff that's in the streets that stormwater picks up. Rainwater typically is relatively clean, but once it starts hitting the streets and running over the oils and greases that are on the street, or the salts, or the pesticides, or just the grum or the sludge and stuff that just happens to be sitting on the ground, it picks all that stuff up, and eventually it just brings it right to the river without any sort of treatment. So what we're hoping is that that can be reduced by reducing the amount of water that's actually going into the system. A typical household in La Crosse will use, on average, 155 gallons of water a day. And so at a 365-day cycle, that's around 57,000 gallons a year. And we certainly recognize that, boy, it sure would make sense to reduce our water, how much we use, how much we're pumping out of the aquifer. However, what we don't really maybe realize is that there's so much water that's being created by our own properties, you can advance it, that we are really just letting that stuff go and eventually become contaminated by the storm sewer system and then just get discharged freely into the surface water. An inch of rain on an acre parking lot produces 27,000 gallons of water. So you think about your use in a year, that 57,000 gallons. Our typical residential lots have around 2,800 square feet, which on a 1 inch a 1 inch rain event equals about 1,800 or 1,775 gallons of water that your roof produces. So typically, in using our, I think it's 43 inches annually, our house and our property can generate more water than what we typically pull out of the aquifer, and yet we're not replenishing that water because we're just putting it in the storm sewer system and eventually discharging it in the surface water. So it's really a more sustainable use if you can start infiltrating some